And so this being a cooking show, we're going to dig in and we're actually going to do a live demo now. So we've seen the recipe. Take us through the process of how someone can be effective in minutes, and we talked about this idea that you don't actually have to have that deep technical expertise to work with the UI, that actually a lot of different roles and individuals can work with this. Show us how this takes place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to first show you the user experience, how a user would see this. Now, keep in mind, this application previously was protected by something like SiteMinder or Oracle Access Manager or IBM's ISAM. But now we are sitting between the user and the application, and we are saying by policy, the policy that we configured, we're going to ask that user to go to Entra ID for authentication. So let's just go ahead and walk through that. This is a pattern that all of our listeners would be very familiar with. So now my user gets to the application. Nothing visually very impactful here, but the important thing to understand is that we're doing all of those things that the application expected. This application, which used to be protected by SiteMinder, doesn't even know SiteMinder went away. It really is that elegant. So what we do is we're actually doing all of the same types of things that SiteMinder or Oracle Access Manager previously did, but now we're doing far more than that, and we're extending the capabilities to be modern and flexible for your environment. So some of the things that we focus on is we now can do finer grained authorization checks than previously were done by policy there. So each page, when I try to navigate to it, we do a runtime evaluation that says, are they in the right department? Well, oh, by the way, the data about my department wasn't in Azure. I had to go somewhere else to go get it. No problem. We do that out of the box. Same thing with when I go to calendar or anything else like that. We just do it at the subsecond that the data is needed, and then we enforce the appropriate policy. So you can get finer grained permissions within your application, and then you can also do this in a very agile and instant manner. Now, the other things that I'd mentioned to you is that this department, it doesn't exist in Azure AD. We would get the claims back from Azure AD. We got those in the first name and the last name, but then we married those things together, both for personalization and for policy enforcement as you're trying to get to the application by grabbing it where it natively wanted to reside.
Sounds delicious. Now, this is the part that I think is going to be really interesting for our audience. We're on the assumption, and we're looking at the registrations. We know that a lot of the people who are watching this are doers. They're practitioners who are actually likely already into their Azure migration experience, and they've come across these non-standard apps and realized how difficult it is to rewrite them and replicate these policies. That fine-grained authorization that you mentioned there, it sounds interesting. Let's dig into that more.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I segued into here is actually the configuration utility that we provide for our orchestration fabric. So I'm going to walk you through the exact steps that I showed you in the whiteboard, and we're going to show you exactly how I built it for this application. So the first step, give us the elements of the identity fabric. These are, again, the more deeper integrations where your identity providers are, your MFA providers, your attribute providers, all of the places where we have a little richer context about the user. So what I picked on for this is the application that I picked on was called Maverick 7. And as you can see here, the information on our side of things is the standard metadata exchange that you would expect for OIDC-based parameters. On the other side of that, we went to the Entra ID, created an enterprise application, and we traded the information based on where we deployed the host. So really simple. You can do this. You've probably done it dozens, if not hundreds of times in your organization. We just ask you to do that once. Similarly, with the LDAP, we do the same types of information. We're not doing any data exchange this time. Tell us where the LDAP directory exists. Tell us all of the information about our service account, passwords, and those types of things. And then we can allow you to go directly at that as well. So the identity fabric is that simple. Add those two.
It's really so simple that even a marketing person could do it. We made that thread at the beginning, and here we are making good on it. So we've got the first of our ingredients as we put things together, and we're starting to create that identity fabric. Applications, let's see what we've got there.
Absolutely. So the application that I'm protecting, we can do modern as well as legacy applications. Today, we're focusing on legacy. We call it Sonar. And here, this is pretty simple too. We just say, tell us where's the application that you want us to protect. obviously, and then where the authorization pages are, things like that. And then if you want to do finer grained authorization checks throughout that for a page, a button, whatever it's important to you, you just define those as a resource here. So your application owner can do this. You can do this on their help, but again, it takes seconds.